GitHub Copilot is an AI assistant for .NET developers. Today we will explore its key capabilities, including code autocompletion, error handling, and refactoring suggestions. Let's get started. I created a new ASP.NET Core Entity application on Visual Studio. To enable GitHub Copilot, we need to log into a GitHub account. And from settings, we'll enable the Copilot completions. The first feature is the code autocompletion. So I will add a new class called product. We want to automatically generate some properties from this class. So we can add a comment to generate ID, name, and price with getter and setters. And with Copilot, we can auto-generate these properties. Copilot includes Entity Framework Core assistance, so I'll open the Copilot chat and will prompt scaffold Entity Framework Core in memory for this demo for the product entity. We'll also ensure that the database is created and we'll add some initial data, send this prompt, and Copilot will auto-generate a response. We have the stats from the Copilot response. The first step is to create the DB context. We'll apply the changes, we'll create this class. And we need to install Microsoft Entity Framework Core. So I will install this package. So Copilot had created the DB context with the configuration, the DB set for the product table, and the initial data. Go back to the chat. Scroll down. The second step is to configure Entity Framework Core in memory in the program.cs file. So let's click apply to add these changes to the program.cs file. Press tab and you will see we registered the memory database and will ensure that the database is created and seated properly. Another feature with Copilot is to fix errors. So we can fix with Copilot this error. We have a suggestion for Copilot. As you will see, it suggests that we need to add this package, Microsoft Entity Framework Core in memory. We'll press tab to accept this change and we'll discard the second option, the second solution. So we'll copy this command and open a PowerShell window. Copy this command to install Microsoft Entity Framework Core in memory and fix the issue. With the code autocompletion feature, we can scaffold an ASP.NET Core API. So after the default get endpoint, we'll add a comment to generate a CRUD API for the product class. And automatically Copilot will create all the endpoints to generate this API, this minimal API, to get the products, to get by ID, to create a new product, to update, and to delete. So we have a functional minimal API created with GitHub Copilot. Let's debug this application and go to Postman to test all the endpoints. Go to Postman, send a GET request to get all the products. So far, so good. Get by ID. We can create a new product by passing the name and the price. So based on the ID, we can update and this previous product will change the name and the price. It returns a successful status code. And finally, we can delete this product. But before we will get by ID the product created and updated. And finally, we can delete this product. Let's apply some additional changes for this minimal API. With the GitHub Copilot chat, we'll generate or we apply the repository pattern for this solution. So open the Copilot chat and we'll prompt that we want to apply the repository pattern for products. And we'll refer to the solution to apply the pattern, and then we'll specify that we want to include the repo files in a folder called patents. Send the prompt. This is the response for Copilot. The first file is to add the abstraction with all the methods from the product repository. Go back. Second step is to add the implementation for the repository with the required methods. We'll inject the contents and create all the necessary methods to implement the repository pattern. Go back to the Copilot chat. And finally, Copilot will update the minimal API from the program.cs file by applying the repository pattern. So click apply, and automatically Copilot will update this program.cs file to use the repository pattern by injecting the corresponding interface and to register the repository as Scout. As you will see, we have updated all the endpoints to use the iProduct repository abstraction. Let's save it. And we can see the summary of changes. We have the added product repository and the abstraction in the Solution Explorer in the patterns folder, the interface and the implementation. We registered the repository in the program.cs file and will update all the endpoints to use the repository instead of the DB contents directly. So go to the implementation. An additional feature for Copilot is to summarize our code. We can describe this product repository class with Copilot. So hover over this class and click Describe with Copilot. And Copilot answers that the product repository is a class that implements the interface with asynchronous methods for managing products in a database with operations such as retrieve, add, update, and delete products. We can also ask for refactoring suggestions for our code. I will select these two methods and ask Copilot to improve the performance of these methods. Apply the suggestions for Copilot, and as you will see, we can improve the performance by using the AsNodeTracking method. Go to the Solution Explorer and add a new project to add some unit tests. Let's create a new project with the Edge unit framework called unit test. And with Copilot, we can generate all the unit tests for our products. So go to the Copilot chat and we'll refer to the unit test project and we'll prompt that we want to add unit test for products. Send this prompt. The first class is to add the unit test. So we'll apply these changes. Let's save it and open the Solution Explorer. We have the unit test in this class. So we need to add the reference to the API to fix the errors. So far so good. So automatically Copilot will generate the unit test for the product's logic. To verify that the tests are working, we can open the Test Explorer view and run all the tests that we generated. All the tests has passed, so we covered all the minimal API functionality. Finally, we can add Git integration with Copilot based on our changes. So open the Git Changes tab and we can review the changes with Copilot. So let's click this icon to review the changes. So Copilot didn't comment on any files, so our commit looks fine. And finally, we can auto-generate the pull request description by clicking this pencil icon to generate a commit message based on the changes. So click this icon to auto-generate a message with Copilot. And we have this description with all the details about the changes. We can click Accept. And finally, commit and push our branch. In conclusion, GitHub Copilot offers several key benefits. Increased development speed. The code auto-completion feature saves developers time during coding. A streamlined task. Common tasks such as scaffolding and unit test generation can be completed more quickly. Enhanced code quality. Copilot promotes cleaner code and helps prevent common mistakes. If you like this content, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.